Evening. I'm Mary Grace. I stitch, as you might recall. I was watching Just Keep Stitching with Pam and Steph, and they're doing their gold and silver, where they call out to a golden floss tuber who's been around for a long time and a silver floss tuber who hasn't been around quite as long. And I was I wish they'd call me out. But then I realized, I'm not sure I've done a proper floss tube yet. I know most of you are wondering, what exactly is a proper floss tube, Mary Grace? So I'm going to do one now and we'll step through it. So, although almost. As Lala D Stitches says, mostly proper floss tube. Okay, so a proper floss tube usually starts with a whip. This, as you will recall, is my Victorian sampler Scary Stitches that I'm working on for Woodlawn. Whip being work in progress. And in a proper floss tube, you talk about the fact that I haven't used the called for colors. Well, the called for colors are Georgian silks, which cost a lot of money. So that wasn't going to happen. I'm using DMC and also some other things. And so these are not the called for colors. I'm all on my own here, having a good time. So in particular, I was trying to work on this silky braid here, and I couldn't find it. I had used it down here, and then I was like, it's all gone. Where'd it go? And I looked on my wall, and I saw one of my FOs. I'm like, oh my gosh, I used it all up, which I did. But I ordered some more previously, so I still have some, so I can finish the words at the top and at the bottom. I think what I've decided to do about my imperfection is to add a charm here, here, and here. So maybe a spider or a star, something like that, some little charm to cover that up. So that's part one of a proper floss tube. Oh, I have a second whip actually. My second whip is Midnight Owl by Mill Hill. Now, I have been working on this the past 2 days. I should be working on Scary Stitches because this has no deadline. Scary Stitches does. It's about a month away, I hope, so that I will get that in time to submit it for Woodlawn this year. If I don't get that done in time to submit for Woodlawn this year, I'm probably going to submit that owl, because I've decided from now on I'm going to submit something regardless to Woodlawn, because Woodlawn does charge you to submit things. It charges you $20, but it's a $15 ticket to go see it, and you get a free ticket when you submit something. So I figure, what the hey? So that is my plan. So I'm going to submit something regardless this year. Hopefully it'll be Scary Stitches, but if not, moving along. So after you discuss a whip in a proper floss tube, you discuss finishes. A finish, there's finishes and there's something that is finished off. I happen to have, I guess, both. Since my last floss tube, I bought this, so it would have been part of my haul, but I also stitched it, and I finished it, and I finished it off. It's all of the above. It is Mystic Cat on the Moon by Cross Stitch Foxy on Etsy. And I did do it, the pattern is all black. It's just a silhouette. The beads are supposed to be black on the pattern. Obviously, I decided to use beads because I had an absurd amount of beads left over from an earlier project where I wanted certain beads and I could only get them in a large pack, but now I've used a bunch of them, so I feel much better about that. So the beads are from my stash. And actually this black ribbon I had in my stash too. And in fact, I think I meant this frame for a dragon, but I haven't done the dragon yet, and it fits this very nicely. So this is all finished, although apparently I need to cut a few threads on the back, but I've even done the felt on the back and everything. So this one is all, it was haul, finish, and finished since my last floss tube. So there, we just discussed about that. I don't have, well, that's not true. I can't find my other piece of haul. When I ordered this owl, I also ordered a blue jay rather. I'm not sure where it went. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to it. So, you'll see at some point later. Okay, so after we have our works in process, our finish and finished, then you move on usually to Stitchy Kindness. And I do have a Stitch of Kindness, and this is where we go off floss tube, because this is not cross stitch. This is a barred owl by Hook, Line, and Tinker. Now, I kind of like cross stitch because it came with a kit. So but I didn't quite use the called for colors. These colors are called for, but I changed this out to be a white. So there's actually 4 in this series. There's another one called the Great Horned Owl, and I would like to do him. I will definitely be going off color for him because the kit comes with a green, and I like my owls to be more natural looking. I'm not into purple owls or green owls yet. Who knows where I will go with my life. But this is my piece of stitchy kindness in that a friend gave it to me. Stitchy kindness is when somebody else gives you a piece of stitch and then you do it. So I do appreciate my friend who gave me this piece. I still need to put the felt to the back. So I guess it's a finished. It's finished, but it's not finished. Anyways, however you want to determine that. The other reason I want to talk about this is length of floss tubes. Oh my gosh. Most floss tubes are an hour or so long, which I love to watch. And I've just realized I probably spit everything out in 10 minutes because I talk too fast sometimes. Oh well, if you've been watching my floss tube long enough, you've probably caught on. Although I went back and watched an earlier floss tube where I put like a lot of extra pauses in it. It sounded really weird. This time I probably talked too fast. Now I'm talking about things having nothing to do with stitching. Moving along. So, this piece of embroidery, I did do the called for stitches because it has a pattern on it. It says do the lazy daisies here and some satin stitches and outlining. So I used some of the call for floss. I did some of the call for stitches. So that's why I think it belongs on floss tube. And I used floss to do it. Besides, there are no rules. But that gets me over to my crazy quilt. Now, I think the reason why these are not typically on floss tubes is because, again, there's no pattern here. I sewed this down. I picked these out. So this would therefore, according to Rebecca, Dances with Pit Bulls, she has specifically her crazy quilt Fridays where she just talks about crazy quilts. And she's been doing that for years. I just have the start of my first one. It's not a perfectly crazy quilt because I need a little bit of structure to it, but it does have some different stitches. So there's nothing called for. Well, I guess a crazy quilt does call for you to have lots of different things going on. So you'll get to see the progression of this as I do more floss tubes because I don't do enough of this to have a whole floss tube or YouTube just on my crazy quilt till I come to the very end. Honestly, I apparently don't even have enough cross stitches for a long floss tube, but you know, you got to drink your coffee, you got to listen to me talk. It's all good. At least I hope so. Hope you've enjoyed my little bit of floss tube for the night, and good night.